Click the bell icon to get latest videos from Ekeeda.
Hello friends, I would like to discuss a case study which would give a little brief idea of certain telephone etiquettes which we all need to follow. I'll read out the case study for you. It's about Robert. So Robert is a person who is responsible of taking the calls. So let's see how he handles this call. Robert was taking calls for a clinic one morning. So there's a clinic where Robert is, a person who was receiving the call. When the phone rang, he picked up the phone before before three rings. So he picked up on the second ring and he said, "Thank you for calling Dr. Smith's office. My name is Robert. How may I help you today?" So he did the exact thing. He first thanked the person to call at that particular office. So he knows when you say Dr. Smith's office, that caller came to know he is called on the right place. He even said thank you for calling, is greeting as well as giving a warm welcome to that customer. My name is Robert is also very important what he did, because a person should know whom they were talking to in the right place. And how may I help you today is a very generous question, or very generous way of making the person comfortable that you are always there for help. The caller sounded upset and began to explain how he was waiting on a prescription from the doctor and still not received it. Now the caller was really upset because the caller was waiting for a prescription. Now imagine, the prescription is so important that without that he will not be able to take his medicines, and it must be serious. So he was waiting for someone to get back on the prescription, but no one got back to him. And finally, it was now a limit where he had to call back. The customer had to call back for asking for a prescription. Robert made sure that he did not interrupt the patient and waited for him to finish speaking. So no matter how the patient was furious or angry, he did not interrupt the customer, and he waited for him to finish his speaking and only then tried or made an urge to speak. When Robert spoke again, he spoke in a very calm and reassuring tone of voice. Now he has to be a person who is calm on the other side, because that person is already exaggerated and frustrated. So now Robert was very calm at his voice, and there was an assurance of his voice that he will take care of the situation. He told the patient that he would be able to connect him with the doctor's nurse to help him with that. So he said that doctor's not around, but definitely I can connect you to the doctor's nurse who can give you the solution for this. Robert waited for the caller to acknowledge what he said before proceeding to connect him to the nurse's extension. So Robert then gave it a pause, waited whether that person was okay with him transferring the call, and only then made an urge to transfer the call to the correct location. So while he spoke, he said that I'm extremely sorry for the situation that you have gone through. I would have also felt the same if I were in your place. But in that case, what I can do is I can transfer your call to the nurse who can give you an alternative solution for your prescription. And sir, for this, I will have to transfer your call to the nursing department, and you can talk to Nurse Maria. And can I do that? So when the caller said yes please, he said, okay sir, you will have to hold the call for 30 seconds, and the nurse will get back to you. And the nurse, while I'm transferring your call, there will be nurse Sister Maria who will then talk to you. While transferring the call to Sister Maria, he said, hello Sister Maria, there is a customer who was waiting for a prescription and we have not got back to him. He's angry, so we'll have to calmly handle the customer, and please help him with his prescription. So now Sister Maria also knows what she's supposed to do. So this is the way how Robert very cleverly, very clearly, very nicely handled the entire call, and that angry customer turned into a permanent customer because he loved the way Robert actually dealt with him. So this was one case study, a real-time case study which happens in every organization. This is just one of the case study of one of the clinics. So friends, why it was important for you for discussing this is you exactly know how paraphrasing helps, how listening skills helps, how being calm, polite, and using the right phrase at right time helps. How can you use the transferring etiquettes? How could you use a call hold etiquettes? So this was just to give you an example. So this was a case study that I thought it was important for me to cover up in this session. Some do's and some don'ts that I would like to discuss. So let's see what do's are there that I feel that are very important while you are on the call. My tips also, I would say, be patient, respond clearly with a yes or a no. If you answer a call on behalf of your team, please mention the caller that try if you can assist him. Let the caller know that you are receiving that call on behalf of someone. Note down the caller's number and assure the concerned person will definitely get back to them. And address the caller properly with their title, Mr., Mrs., so and so. They like to be called by their name, they like to be called by the title. Listen carefully, very important. Verify the message, always verify what messages, and repeat whether you've heard it or understood it right. Certain don'ts that are very important, and certain tips from my end which you don't need to do while you're talking on the phone. Do not drink or eat while you're talking on the phone, because if you smile and that can reflect on the phone, imagine when you're eating or when you're drinking, that definitely reflects on the phone. A very obvious image would definitely reflect on the phone. Never use slang words. Slang words are something which are not tolerated at all. So never use slang words. Never use a very poor language. No need to use accent or jargons, use a simple language. Address if unfamiliar. So if you feel that you don't know whether the person is Mr. or Mrs., you cannot gauge with a voice, with the tone, then do not need to say sir, ma'am, or Mr. or Mrs. or whatever. You can address by the name simply. So if you don't know whether Shashi is a girl or a boy, you could say Shashi, that's it. And then once you know, you can then from next time on, you can start addressing by the title. Never snap back at an angry customer. Never shout or never sound rude with an angry customer, or any customer for that matter. Even if you have emotional breakdowns or some fight at home and you've come upset to work, never ever shout or react to the customer in that particular mood. Never hold a call more than 30 seconds is what I would say. Always let the customer know when are you going to get back to the caller. Never hang up without saying or without telling the customer a bye or some closing phrases, and never hang up before the customer or before the caller hangs up. There are certain words which are also do not sound good. So words like can't and cannot. Now these are very very negative words, and which gives an impression of negativity to your customer. So never say I cannot do this or I can't do this for you. So always let him know what you can do for him. So instead of saying that you are you are not the right person to give an appointment, you would rather say I will transfer the call to the right person to give appointment. Never ever let the person feel that what you cannot do for that person. Always let him have an impression of what all you can do for that person. Never use words like no problem. So no problem is something when you use, or some words when you use, then there is actually a problem. The caller would, or the caller or the person from that end would actually come asking you, did I say there is a problem? So never use these words like no problem, because it's not professional. In fact, you can use words like you're welcome, my pleasure, all that. So use very positive phrases instead of using negative words like problem, or negative, which shows a different impact, which doesn't give that kind of impact to your entire sentence. So never use words like no problem. Never use words like just. So just is something that is not professional. So when you say just for that one person or just for a night, we normally say like this. So we can never express our feelings when we use such words like just. Also never use fillers like yup, yay, or these are certain jargons which are not professional. You can instead say okay, all right, sure, certainly, absolutely, definitely. These are certain professional jargons that we can use for the caller to understand that you are with him and you are understanding and you are also listening to that person. So friends, these were some very important do's and don'ts, along with the case study, which I thought were very important for me to share with you. Some tips from my end, and an advice that get started with your telephone etiquettes today itself very positively, and it will help you for your future. Thank you so much friends for watching this video. Please do subscribe to our channel and stay tuned to Ikeda. Thank you.